Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek, and today we're going to take a closer look at some Confederate money from 1864, the T64, 65, 66, and 67. So that's going to be type 64, 65, 66, and 67. And of course, these actually go in reverse order here once you get down to the denomination. So this T67 is the 1864 $20 piece. And we'll take a closer look at this note here and just look at a little bit of the detail. Of course, this has the nice blue backing with a lot of really nice vignette work on it. As you get the note closer, you can really see a lot of the detail that goes into, just all of the fine script. And you see these darker points over here. That's actually from the printing on the other side of the note. As you look at it, you'll see there's that darker circle, and that's all printing that kind of bled through. And what really bled through, of course, is the ink spot. So it's a little spot up here, that's an ink spot that bled through to the other side. So that happens sometimes. It doesn't make the note not uncirculated. You'll see this note's actually graded uncirculated 64. These notes are not too uncommon in that grade. I used to see large hordes of these before they started grading them. You'd see notes like these all the time, and they'd be $50 or something along those lines. And today, this is probably about a $150 note because of the grade and the grading services, the way that all works. This note has a large issue. They think that they issued approximately 4 million of these notes. And this center building is the state capitol of Nashville, Tennessee. And this is Alexander Stevens over in the corner. And overall, for anyone who's putting together a type note collection, this is something that's relatively easy to acquire. Circulated grades of these notes are oftentimes, $20, $25 type items. If you want to get one that's not certified, it's just a raw note, as we would call it. And what's fun, of course, these ones were hand numbered. One of the things that's amazing to me about the Confederate currency is, the lower denominations, what they made millions of them, were hand numbered. And then you got to some of the higher denominations, and they were actually have the numbers printed on them instead. And so that was kind of a nifty little trick over there. So this is the T66. This is the 1864 series. There's the date on here, Richmond, February 17th, 1864. The Confederate States of America, that's $50. It's a nice looking note. And this note here comes in several varieties, but you're going to see a different color palette for these different banknotes. Once again, you can see the other side of the note bleeding through onto the back side of this note. Same setup as far as the reverse goes. That design pattern is very similar to the $20 with the word 50 in the script up at the top and the bottom, and the big 50s over there. This note, they think about 1.6 million were issued. This has Jefferson Davis in the center, and this has more of what you'd call a red background. So a lot of these notes come in either a red or a light red or a pink variety. The PMG, paper money guarantee, called this a uncirculated 62. With EPQ means exceptional paper quality. Frick is a guy who wrote several books on Confederates. He's putting stickers on things now, noting that this note is a red note, which is a little bit higher demand. So the exceptional paper quality is the overall quality of the note. The grade may be relative to some of the centering issues this note has. Centering affects that, and also cutting affects it a little bit. A lot of these notes are cut kind of wonky, so you can see this note is curved at the bottom and then has a cut piece out there at the side, even though they had a guideline to cut on. But I also never kept inside the lines. And you'll see up here also the note actually curves upward into the corner as it moves along here, and then it's trimmed all the way off. There's no border, so this you have a border here, and you can actually see part of the next note. So that's, even though it's a nice uncirculated note, 62 is probably mostly related to the fact that it is cut and centered very poorly. Notes like these actually were counterfeited at the time, and in my opinion, counterfeited very impressively. And what I mean by that is, I think of the technology as not being quite as good today, and they were able to make fakes that looked quite convincing. All right, all of these notes were printed by Keating and Ball in Columbia, South Carolina. We're going to move on to the T65, a note that has this vignette. It has a lot going on. It has a vignette of soldiers in the corner. Once again, a note that is hand signed, and the numbering though on this note is printed instead of being handwritten. Now they say only 964,000 of these were issued. This in the center is Miss Lucy Pickens, and George W. Randolph is in the corner. These notes also come in different varieties, from a pink to a red, and some of them are very faded looking. Once again, you'll see the same conceptual reverse design on this 1864 series. They were all very much similar as far as the way that they were produced. That says 100 down there. So you can look and see, if you look at the backs of these notes, the design is basically the same. They just changed the numbering. They also changed a little bit of the pattern. Of course, the pattern is actually physically different. This pattern that you look at here, this one has more like wavy lines. This one has more of a crossed design, and this one has more of like flower petal designs. So the concepts were the same, but the designs actually came out quite a bit different. Now this note, I need to back up just a little bit, talk a little bit about the value of this note. Now this one's harder to really put an exact value on because of the red nature. It's a little bit tougher to get. This could be a $300 note in this condition with the red color. Without the red color, maybe it's a $200 note. This $100 bill is probably also a $300 note or more. Also, the conditions really driving the value on this. These are also notes that you can still find circulated examples, raw examples, uncertified, that you can pick up for $50 to $100 type price points. And now, last but not least, let's move on to one of my all-time favorite Confederate notes, the T64, the 1864 series $500 bill. These also come with either pink or light red or red backgrounds, and they vary quite a bit in overall design. And there's a lot of little details I'll point out on this in a second. Here it has a few differences in conceptual, one of which is it's uniface, which is somewhat shocking after you see the work and effort that went into other notes. They say that only 154,000 of these were printed, making it by quite some quantity much more scarce. All of these notes were still redeemable, by the way. I don't know exactly how the exchange rate worked, but within 2 years after, 2 years after the ratification of the Treaty of Peace between the Confederate States and the United States. So pretty interesting. This $500 note here, you can see it's a little bit higher serial number. And in the corner, this is Thomas Stonewall Jackson, the only Confederate general to be on a banknote of the Confederacy. And quite the little design there with the flowers and whatnot around the edge. It also has this really interesting design over here, which has the Confederate flag on it, but it says Deo Vindici, which of course is God vindicates, and then that is George Washington. So it's really an interesting note all around. You get to feel, for historical purposes, what the people there were thinking at the time and how they felt, as opposed to when we make a modern movie and we overlay some of our own thoughts and feelings on stuff. They mentioned a little bit of minor rust on this. That would be down here. This is the signatures bleeding through. That's pretty typical. This note's probably $500 and up. Really high grade. This one's a VF30, but really high grade notes are pretty expensive. This note, just to get a look and feel for the grading of the note, you know, a VF is a note that's going to be folded several times, but overall it won't have too coarse of a wrinkle. It'll still have some life or body left in the note. That's one of the things that you look at and you know that the note is a nice middle grade, a nice very fine 30. So there you have it, folks. There is your T64, 65, 66, and 67, 4 different types from the 1864 series of your Confederate series. Go ahead and leave comments in the box. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.